both documentaries also seem to mention about Ultimate Warrior, that there was almost like a cult of personality with Vince McMahon, where Ultimate Warrior really saw Vince as a father figure. Do you know anyone else in the locker room who maybe overly cared what Vince McMahon thought about them on a personal basis?
Not up until that point, no. The office was the office, and the talent was the talent. You have to realize back in those days, pre-Vince McMahon, it was, the other territories and stuff with a lot of the promoters. It was, pretty adversarial. The promoters were, trying to keep you down, and you were trying, guys were, older guys and more seasoned guys were trying to, gain more leverage or money or whatever it was, input into the programming and stuff. So there was always, there was always animosity between. When I was there wasn't a Shawn Michaels or Warrior or anybody, closest thing to that might be Piper, who would have meetings with Vince and arrange his scheduling and stuff, and arrange his programs and stuff, like that. Because he had the pit, and he was a fragile character that, if he lost matches, he would lose a lot of credibility as far as what he was trying to present. So he had to protect himself. And then, he was always, he was always 2-3 steps ahead and moving, always thinking and growing.
1991. So obviously you saw both documentaries. I keep mentioning it. He writes a letter to Vince McMahon basically saying he deserves as much pay as Hulk Hogan does and all the other perks that go with it, and then says if he doesn't get that, he will refuse to turn up for SummerSlam 1991. So eventually McMahon says, yeah, I'll give it you, and then fires him straight afterwards. Have you ever refused to partake in a match or refused to lose a match under any circumstances?
I've left before my time, a couple times. My dad died in San Francisco. Well, I was in San Francisco. And we buried him back here in Hawaii, the Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. And Roy wouldn't kick in on any of the plane fare, and I realized it was personal, but he would, he was an obstinate sort. And then Ole Anderson and I, Ole Anderson was such a disrespectful guy. But, and I personally would just get homesick or just sick of, not being in Hawaii and not being in the ocean, not being able to surf. And I would, at times I'd just bail.
With Ole Anderson, did you were you actually wrestling him, or was he just booking you at the time, and then you just didn't like him and said, "Well, I'm not losing to you. See you later."
He was at the times I was wrestling him, babyface, and then and he was booking there. He was booking Charlotte and Atlanta for when Barnett. I don't know how much of Charlotte he had, but I know he was in Charlotte. They had a TV with a great big picture of Mulligan on the TV. I guess Mulligan had knocked him out 2 or 3 times. So he just had a blackjack and just that poster of him covering the whole face of the TV. But he was getting he was making big money. He was making more money, as much money or more money than the champions at the time. Because he was getting reportedly, I don't know, but $250,000 to book Georgia for Barnett, and then plus he was booking himself in all the main events and stuff. He was world tag team champions, or he was in all the angles.
So you're saying a booker booked himself to be in the main event and get the most money? I do not believe it.
Never happened. Only in rare occasions.